Some truths don't die, they just wait. In the humid summer of 2015, in St. Petersburg, a security camera records an elderly lady descending the stairs of an old Soviet apartment block. It is almost 4 in the morning. She's carrying black trash bags that drip something dark. In one hand, an ordinary kitchen pot, the kind every Russian grandmother owns. Inside that pot, something heavy sways back and forth. She pauses, glances around as if checking to see if the neighbor's cat is watching, then heads toward the artificial lake behind the building. Her name is Tamara Samsonova. She's 68 years old, a former employee of the luxurious Grand Hotel Europe, fluent in Russian, English, and German, a polite babushka, always wearing a headscarf and offering a sweet smile to her neighbors. No one could have imagined that behind that wrinkled, kindly face lived a modern Baba Yaga, a figure straight out of a dark fairy tale. It all began long before, when the century was still young for her. Tamara was born in April 1947 in the frozen Siberian town of Uzhur. We don't know much about her childhood, only that she was a clever girl who learned languages as easily as she breathed. In her youth, she moved to Moscow, graduated with a degree in linguistics, and then, in 1971, married Alexei Samsonov. The couple settled into a tiny apartment in the newly built block 4 on Dmitrova Street in St. Petersburg. It was a typical Soviet apartment block. Thin walls, the eternal smell of boiled cabbage in the hallway. A life of quiet routine. Their marriage lasted nearly 30 years. Then, in 2005, Alexei simply vanished. Tamara went to the police, crying, claiming he found a mistress and ran away with her. The authorities searched, but found nothing. Years later, with no sign of him, Alexei Samsonov was legally declared dead. Tamara tucked his photos into a drawer and, to supplement her modest pension, she began renting out the spare room in her apartment. The first tenant was a man from Norilsk named Sergei, 44 years old. They soon started arguing over late rent payments. It was during this time that Tamara began her diary. She wrote in German, "Today I killed the tenant Volodya. I cut him into pieces in the bathroom with a knife. I put the pieces in plastic bags and threw them away." She got the name wrong. It was Sergei, not Volodya, but in her mind, names no longer seemed to matter. In that small, cramped bathroom, she made a series of chilling discoveries. She found that cutting up a body while it is still warm is easier than it seems, and that the overwhelming smell of blood can be masked with enough bleach. But then came a greater, more horrifying discovery. Parts of the body didn't have to be discarded whole. Some could be boiled, others could be absorbed. Scattered throughout her diaries were terrifying, fragmented phrases. "I ate his lungs." One entry read, "Now he breathes inside me." Investigators would later find torn-out pages from her diary wrapped up with the remains of one of her victims. Between 2005 and 2015, at least 11 and perhaps as many as 14 people crossed the threshold of that apartment and never left in one piece. They were tenants, acquaintances, even a neighbor who complained about the noise. Her method was brutally efficient. She would first poison her victims, crushing olanzapine into their tea, or slipping up to 50 phenazepam tablets into their stew. Then, once the body was relaxed and still, she would bring out the saw. The head, she always removed last. Tamara liked to boil the head in the same pot she used for making borscht. She claimed it cleansed the soul. Her final mistake, the act that would bring her reign of terror to an end, involved a 79-year-old woman named Valentina Nikolaevna Ulanova. In March of 2015, a mutual friend asked Valentina, "Can Tamara stay with you for a few months? Her apartment is under renovation." Valentina, a war widow with a kind heart, agreed. At first, things were fine. Tamara cooked, cleaned, and smiled her sweet, grandmotherly smile. But soon, Valentina began complaining. She was bothered by dirty cups left in the sink, by strange visitors Tamara had over at night. "Are you trying to drive me out of my own home?" Valentina asked her one day, frustrated. On the night of July 23, 2015, Tamara slipped 50 sleeping pills into Valentina's salad. When the old woman collapsed on the sofa, still conscious but unable to move, Tamara fetched a handsaw one she had borrowed from a neighbor years earlier and never returned. She later told investigators, with a chilling smile, she was too heavy to carry whole. I had to do it on the kitchen floor. It took 7 trips to the lake to dispose of the body, 7 black bags, and the pot carrying the head. The very next morning, neighbors made a gruesome discovery. They found a headless torso wrapped in a shower curtain near the apartment building. The police were called, and they soon knocked on Valentina's door. Tamara opened it, perfectly calm, even offering the officers tea. Valentina went for a walk. She lied, but the apartment still reeked of blood and bleach. A search of Tamara's own apartment followed. There, they found the diary's hundreds of pages written in 3 different languages, bizarrely alternating between cake recipes and surgical descriptions of dismemberment. They also found books on black magic and astrology, old photographs, and a business card belonging to a man who had vanished without a trace back in 2003. In court, Tamara's behavior was nothing short of theatrical. She blew kisses to the journalists. She laughed. She even danced behind the glass of the defendant's box. She looked directly at the judge and declared, "I prepared for this day for 10 years. With the last murder, I closed the circle." Diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, Tamara Samsonova was deemed unfit to stand trial. She was committed indefinitely to the Kazan Special Psychiatric Hospital, a high-security facility for the criminally insane. There, at 78 years old today, she still writes. She still smiles sweetly at the nurses, and she still asks, in perfect, polite German, if anyone would like some tea. Her story serves as a chilling reminder that some truths don't die. They only wait for the next kettle to boil. And it's said that no one in St. Petersburg ever again accepts a cup of tea from a little old lady they do not know. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the shadows of human nature. Stay safe out there.